Hey you, welcome back to another Actionables episode. In case we haven't met, my name is Payden. If you're a returning viewer or a listener, thank you so much for tuning back in. On today's episode, we're talking to somebody who's incredibly inspiring. She handles both work, a full-time working professional, and she is a yoga instructor. She juggles being a mom of two, how she works on her day job, and how she follows her passion and creativity of teaching yoga is incredibly inspiring. Join me in this conversation with Praneetha Gadiraju. Let's get into this conversation. Hello. Hi, Praneetha. Thank you for joining me on Actionables. Finally, we're sitting and doing this. It's so good to see you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I'm excited to get into how you started practicing yoga. And I think a great place to start would be, could you talk about how you went from engineering to starting and become a yogapreneur?
I was not like this, doing multiple things at the same time, getting so busy. I was really a lazy person with a lot of, creative ideas bustling within. So I always wanted to do something in the creative field. So after my plus two, I have given my, BArch exam to get into architecture. But yeah, typical South Indian family background. So parents wanted me to either be an engineer or a doctor, nothing in between. I had to get into engineering, and luckily I got into civil engineering in the, beginning.
Okay.
So I thought, yeah, civil is good, again I can steer towards architecture. But again, within a month, they said, no, civil is not for girls. Let's shift you into computer science. So I got into computer science. I finished my 4 years. While finishing, at the end, I got into campus interview. I got placed and started my career as a typical software engineer. And I've been in software even now. I'm continuing. It has been, software since 2010. In 2010, after my marriage, I moved to Bangalore. In our office, they had this wellness programs. They had Zumba, gym, and yoga, 6 to 7 p.m. after work hours. I didn't know which one to choose. I don't know why, but I thought I would try yoga. I've never done yoga. I thought, yeah, let me try yoga. I joined just as a, physical activity. I just wanted to stay active and stay healthy. So I thought, okay, let me try yoga. I joined, and it was a short period of time. I was there just for 3 to 4 months, maybe. I don't remember my sir's name. He just said something that, stays close to my heart till now. And I repeat the same with my students also. So this is what he said. He said, choose any physical activity. It's good for, staying healthy, be it gym or Zumba or whatever. What they do, they tone your muscles and they keep your joints healthy.
Right.
But yoga is something that takes care of your organs also. It tones your organs and it allows your organs to function with great efficiency.
Right.
So that really stuck with me. I was like, yeah, that's true. Other physical activities, they have different benefits, but yoga is something, it goes till your organ level. So I thought that's nice. It was a short period of time I was in yoga. And then again, life happened. I had 2 kids. When I was I was with my second kid. My neighbors, I heard that they were going to a yoga session. So then I told them, after my second delivery, I'm joining you guys. And likewise, tagged along with them. We went to yoga classes early in the morning at 5 a.m.
Right.
It was all good. It was a different teacher. And then he had to close the studio. Again, we were like back to square one, what to do. Then luckily my neighbor, he found this thing called Balance Yoga Studio, which was started by my yoga ma'am, I consider her as my yoga guru. I'm so fortunate to be guided by her. He found the studio and we were like, okay, let's try that. I went to the studio, but again, the timings were not matching. I was not into my teacher's, Pooja Tavrani is my teacher's name.
Okay.
I was not attending her class. There were different yoga teachers teaching. We were attending their class. And again, COVID happened. There were, a lot of halts. Every 3-6 months, I had to give up yoga.
It was not one continuous journey.
No, it was never. Then in 2020 Feb, when COVID happened, everything had to close. They said, okay, let's try online Zoom classes.
Okay.
And luckily, my schedules were, aligned with my Pooja ma'am's sessions.
Okay.
And since then, there was never looking back. I was attending her classes. It's like a complete, not just physically, but mentally also. I could see so much of positive outcome. So that's how it all started. I was always a student. Even now, I'm a student. Once a student, forever a student.
Right.
So, yeah, I was attending her classes since 2020. There's no break. It kept going till now. And
Right.
suddenly in 2023, I just asked her, do you think I can do yoga teacher training? She's like, anyone can do. It's your call. And I
Right.
don't know, I had this wild idea of, let me do TTC one. And the main
Right.
reason was I know I'll be in software. After a certain period of time, the kids grow, they leave the nest. What am I going to
Right.
do then? I can't be doing coding till then. So I was like, after 50s or 60s, what am I going to do? I should have something that I should be doing with my life. Yeah, maybe if I do TTC, I can teach people at any
Right.
age. So it was like a retirement plan for me. So in 2023, as they say, the stars aligned perfectly. I had annual leaves and I was shifting projects. So I had a brief 1.5 month period in between. So I was like, okay, I took leave. I went to Mysore. There is this Bharata Yoga studio. It's a
Okay.
residential program for TTC1. So 28 days you have to stay there and practice yoga. It's not just yoga, it's you know you get to do chanting, learn anatomy and a couple of things. So I was there for 1 month and it was luckily in April, so my kids were having holidays. Send
Right.
them to my mom's place and yeah, I got certified and after coming back I was still attending my mom's classes. Then my family and friends, near and dear ones, they said, why don't you start teaching? I'm like, I'm not sure if I can teach. They're like, let's start. I had just one student, my friend, and I was teaching only her, and my husband also used to join in between. I was teaching both of them for about 6 months. Slowly, word went out, timings were working. I was working in software, but still, I had the spare time to teach.
So, Pranita, you mentioned after you did your teacher training course, for some time you didn't start working. Was there initial hesitancy as to I'm not good enough to teach right now, or I'm still not qualified to be a teacher? Did that doubt ever come into your mind?
I was not sure. In teacher training, they don't tell you how to, design your classes and how to go about it. They just teach
Correct.
you the poses and, it's which pose is good for whom, which is bad for whom. Kind of
Right.
a knowledge is what you gain. So I was not sure how to conduct classes. Then I thought maybe I'll give it a try. So 1 month or 2 months, I didn't teach. I had a book.
Right.
I started writing down sequences. And then my husband, he was like, the biggest support system. I used to say, do the sequence and tell me if it flows or, how is it? He used to
Right.
do that and he's like, yeah, this is good. Why don't you change this? I was like, I've written a couple of sequences. I have about 50 classes. Once in a while, I refer to them even now. Then, when my friend said she's going to join, I thought, okay, let me give it a try. After two
Right.
months, I just didn't have how to, conduct the class. That was the thing, not a self-doubt. And yeah, I think I owe my whole initial teaching online experience to my friend. She was so patient with me and it went along so well.
She helped you with your confidence as to that first
Exactly.
client. I think that first client we all remember and is in a way special.
Yes, true.
Yes. Okay, so tell me, Pranita, that you said that it took you a while to craft your sequences. Was there ever an obstacle? You mentioned your husband has been a huge support. Lucky for you. Not everybody gets that
Yes.
kind of initial support, right? Whenever somebody wants to do something different, it's often met
Yeah,
with resistance from the family side
exactly.
or loved one side.
Yeah.
So, could you talk about any specific challenge that you faced, or was this something that, okay, you got the idea and you said, okay, I'm going to do it, and you just went ahead and did it? Because a lot of people face, like they say, there are ideas are a dime a dozen. Everybody has an idea to do something.
Yes,
But
yes.
when it comes to actually executing on that idea, a lot of people either have self-doubt, but in your case you didn't, which is very good and which is quite rare. But a lot of people face uh, self-doubt, or they lack support from their loved ones. So what would you say, did you face any obstacles when you were starting your
Yeah.
teaching yoga?
Yeah, so there was no self-doubt because I've been practicing yoga, from 2020 till 2023 till I did TTC. I was, yeah, like I said, it was only about how to conduct the class was my biggest question. Initially, I have, scheduled a class for my college mates. I said, I just want to take a demo class with you guys. I'm comfortable, even if I show my right hand, I say left, it's fine, I can do those blunders with them. I said, okay, what time suits you? I scheduled the class. And no one turned up. Everyone had something or the other. Yeah, no one turned up, but still, I kept the video on. I did my practice. I took the class with no one, just except me. So I went ahead, I finished that. And then in my apartment, informed them, I'm taking a demo class. Whoever is interested, join in. Again, no one came except for one. I took the class for her. Then that was the only thing I faced, not people not turning up, because not
Right.
everyone knows the importance or the outcomes of yoga unless you practice. That was the thing. And then, yeah, after 2 months, I had my friend come along. She has been attending my classes since then. For about 2 years, she attended. She took a break in between. Again, from this month, she's back on the mat with me.
So you mentioned, Praneetha, that you thought of starting to teach yoga from a retirement plan point of view, right? So something that you want to do
Yes.
because you're currently pursuing engineering and you want to continue teaching yoga side by side or later on as a retirement plan. So what do you think about the monetizing aspect of teaching yoga? Because I'm sure you know this. Did that thought ever occur to you that maybe there are so many yoga teachers? Health is one industry where there are trainers everywhere, and one
Yeah.
would say it is a saturated marketplace. So what is your idea about how difficult, or if somebody is thinking about taking a teacher training course or is thinking about becoming a yogapreneur, what would your advice be to such a person?
So, yeah, immediately you can't leave your job or you can't leave whatever you're doing to, jump into yoga teaching. You can get trained, you can do the TTC, but, you have to gradually build up that, teaching and your community. It takes time. That's for sure. And monetizing part, that's why I'm still in software and I have started teaching and I didn't charge much. I'm like, this is what I'm going to charge. If you think it's too much, you can give half of what I charge. So
Right.
people were like, okay, let me give it a try. After 1 or 2 years, I thought, maybe I should not reduce my self-worth, kind of a thing came. So I said,
Right.
as per the current standards, this is what I'm going to charge.
Right.
People who understood the importance of yoga, who saw that change within themselves attending my classes, they continued. They're like, money is not a problem. For me, even when I started, money was not the thing for starting it. I
Right.
just want to, I want people to know yoga, not just like, from an asana perspective. There's a lot more to offer. So I want everyone to, experience that. That's how I have learned from my teacher. So I just want to spread the same along. Getting students is one thing, and it has its off season and on seasons also. During holidays, they keep traveling, so they don't attend.
Yes.
So it's not exactly stable, a money point of view, but the satisfaction it gives, that positive impact that you're making in others' life is something you look forward to. That's what I look forward to.
So, as an encouragement, would you say if somebody is looking to be a yogapreneur, for them to take it slow, because, like you mentioned, it is not stable, and if they are
Yeah.
already working somewhere, they should not leave that job till it is stable.
Yes.
And talking
Yes.
about stability for doing anything new takes a lot of time, like you also said just now, right? Was it frustrating that, okay, you're doing this and you want to move it along, because everybody is excited about doing something new and they want to see results? Was there any
Yeah.
sort of frustration that, okay, I want to teach more clients, or when, nobody showed up for your class? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, I was disappointed because I was like, these are my friends. They didn't show up. I was like, why didn't they? Then again, convinced myself, not everyone has the same priority as you have for yoga.
Right,
So,
right,
and initially, as I told you, I had one student, my friend, and my husband on and off. Sometimes I used to get disappointed. I'm like, I'm spending so much time in curating the classes and I'm putting my whole love for yoga in the class that I teach. But, I earn so less. Then my husband always says, you forget about money. It's not about money. The satisfaction that you get after teaching their class, you concentrate on that. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So it's been
right.
that. And now the word went out, and, they were like, Praneetha teaches yoga, and, you should experience it, kind of a thing has come. And yeah, it's mainly my family and friends that join, and their friends, extended friends.
So, what would you say when you mentioned that yoga is not just about asanas? It's not about just doing a pose, but I'm guessing
Yes.
you are referring to the mindfulness aspect behind flowing with the poses. So, could you talk about, because a lot of people, I think they view yoga as something as this serious thing, and
Yes.
I've heard people say yoga is not my jam, or yoga really doesn't make me feel good as after going to the gym. Personally, I feel
Yes.
you should have a yoga practice for the mindfulness aspect of it. And I personally go to the gym because I also want to burn calories faster. But for my spiritual
Yeah.
health, I feel yoga provides me that. So could you speak about the mindfulness aspect of practicing yoga?
Yeah, so before going into that, I love your dedication, Peyton. How you every day show up no matter what. I'm
It is
not like
not
that. I
easy.
need to have a teacher, to
Right.
attend the class. My teacher, she was not teaching since last year. So my self-practice has become like an on and off thing. I was teaching, but my
Right.
self-practice is like on and off. Whenever I see you, I'm like, when will I be so disciplined, I
One day at a
try to
time,
draw
right?
inspiration from what you do. Yeah,
It is definitely not easy. And there are days where I
exactly.
feel like, like sun is not up. Like I should sleep.
Yes,
Why am
in
I doing this
Bangalore.
to myself? But yeah, I understand what you're saying. But please go on.
Okay, so when I say yoga is not just the asanas, initially anyone, now the industry, it showcases yoga as just the asanas. How good you are at a headstand, how good you are at your handstand is what everyone focuses on. But yeah, initially, even when I joined yoga, I just wanted to burn calories. I wanted to lose that mommy, extra weight that I gained during my
Right.
delivery. So I joined as a physical activity. I used to, keep checking my weight every now and then. But as I told you, when I started attending my Puja ma'am's classes, it all changed. Initially, even I was frustrated why I was not getting into chakrasana, why I was not able to do a headstand. Eventually, with practice, you will get there. That's for sure. When I started attending my mom's classes, it all changed. It's not just the asanas that she teaches in the class. Along with asanas, she just, correlates how you should look at life when you're in a difficult situation. So when you're holding a difficult pose, it hurts. Your mind tells you to come out of it. It's wired in such a way that your body is always in a comfort zone. So
Right.
she kept bringing up these topics and she keeps repeating these. Once you hear all those things, they slowly become your second nature. That's what I have observed. So she says, this too shall pass. Don't give up so easily. Similarly, when something's hurting in any asana, you just stay there because it's eventually going to pass away. Once you come out of it, you're going to be at your comfort level. Hearing to all this and practicing while hearing to all this, your brain rewires in such a way that you implement all these subtle things in your day to day life also. When you're doing a project, it gets hectic. I remember all these, what my mom says, and I'm like, deep breaths, we'll go through this. And coming to yoga as an asana, asana is not yoga. Asana is just a part of yoga. Yoga has, 8 parts to it, which asana is just one part of it. You have pranayama, you have meditation, you have, your social responsibilities, your physical, responsibilities that you're supposed to do. All these combined is yoga. So it's like an, complete holistic approach to life. So, how you eat, what you see, what you talk, all this will get affected when you start practicing yoga. And especially, there are teachers who teach yoga, keeping all these parts of yoga in mind. There are few who concentrate only on the asana part. So, again, I keep referring to my mom a lot. So, her classes has changed me in a very subtle way, which I can't articulate it, but I can feel that the
Right.
calmness, not reacting, responding, and being in the present. That is the only thing that calms your mind, and it keeps you at peace.
Right.
And there are other practices that we do. She makes us do trataka, meditation, and yin yoga. There are different types of yoga also she makes us do. And again, anything you do, it always comes to that peace of mind. So, yeah, as you said, mindfulness, when you practice mindfulness every day on that mat, slowly you'll start practicing it throughout the day. In everything that you do, you
Right.
start being mindful, which, is a different space of mind.
What would you say, Praneetha, to somebody said to you that yoga is very slow, and I took one yoga class and it was very boring? Because I've heard people say things like this, that it really made me go to sleep, or I was so zenned out. And I was like, that's a
Yes,
good thing, right? But the person said, no, I wanted to feel pumped up. So I offered, from my limited knowledge, I said, maybe you took a Zen class. Because there are
yeah,
different types of, like, where you really have like a relaxed practice, as opposed
yes,
to some practices which are more athletic
yes.
in nature. So what would you say to somebody who said yoga is boring?
There are different ways that you can incorporate. You can be really creative in this field from the asana perspective, but always underlying, you have to keep the true essence of yoga. Surya Namaskaras, you do at a faster pace, keeping the alignment and the breathing. It gives you that adrenaline rush.
Right.
And, you can be creative, and you can inculcate different forms of movement in the same asana that you do. So, yeah, if you have attended very slow kind of a class, yeah, maybe it it might have felt very boring. Yeah, it does feel, people who are really active in their mind, they can't, sit
Slow
quietly
down.
in a place. For kids, if you teach, it's really difficult to, make them sit in one place for at least 30 seconds. So
Right.
there should be continuous movement. Now, in my class also, I have students who come just for that, peaceful feeling. There are
Right.
students who come and they say, I don't see any difference in my weight, and, it's a little slow. So I take feedback from everyone and I try to cater to all their needs. So what I do, so I thought, maybe I should change the way I teach. But again, always keep that true essence of yoga within whatever you teach, is what my motto is. So I
Right.
said, okay, Mondays, you buy weights, we'll do weight training. Again, everything is a form of yoga. Now, you can do a particular exercise which you have learned it from one of the asanas. So
Right.
I said, let's do weight training, and then 3 days we'll do intense yoga practice without stopping one asana after the other. But on the last day, let's take it slow. Let's do some kind of a meditation or a yin class, or, you know, any class that slows down, puts you in one place, and brings all your attention to one point. So I thought, like this, maybe I can, add in the fast paced movements, as well as, make them feel that connection with themselves.
Right.
Always we are in a hurry, we jump from one task to the other, there is never a pause. So I thought maybe this will work out, so I keep trying all these things on my students. But I'm so blessed to have, few of the best ones who, no matter what I, you know try on them, they accept it, they give me
Right.
feedback, and I change it according to them.
So you mentioned, Praneetha, that you're a mother to two kids. How does how does that come into working full time and practicing yoga and teaching yoga? I'm sure it must be getting hectic. So talk to us about that. I'm sure a lot of listeners and people who are watching this might be able to relate that, sometimes it gets too difficult to be able to do everything.
Yes,
So
yes.
how do you set boundaries for yourself, or what is your, like, a personal plan that you have in place, or do you just wing it? What's your approach?
So again, I don't know how, but everything falls in place for me. I don't know why. I'm just grateful
No,
for
it's a
that.
good thing.
So,
It's a good thing.
yeah, mother of two. As I told you, initially I was a very lazy person before getting into yoga, doing all this stuff. But I read somewhere that kids see and learn from you. They don't just listen and learn from you. Then I thought, yeah, maybe it's true. I shouldn't be sitting in a sofa watching TV or phone in front of them. I thought I should keep myself active so they'll learn from the same and they'll also stay active. So I started attending yoga classes. In between, they also come, they do the poses in front of the camera when my mom is teaching. They used to enjoy all that attention. And slowly, when school started, it's an early school here, so they have to leave home by 6:30 and they reach by 3:30. And 7:30 p.m. is their sleep time, bedtime. So around 6:30 or 7, I make sure they have their dinner. Then we spend time and I read a story or I put them to bed. Slowly by 7:30 they'll be in deep sleep. So it was like no one's at home. My kids are asleep, my husband is working, and I had the whole house to myself, a very calm place to practice yoga. So I was attending my mom's class. It was all going smooth. And then once I got into TTC and started teaching, morning again, yeah, they go to school. Before I start my work is never like, you have to log in at 9, log out at 6. It's not like that. You can log in anytime after 10 a.m. After they leave, I had some time. So I thought maybe I'll use 1 hour of this time and try teaching. So I teach, then I go back to work, I finish my work. And yeah, after my kids come, I spend a little time with them, what happened in school, all that. Once they're done with dinner and bedtime, I have my yoga classes to attend.
Right. So there is a
So yeah,
structure. There's a structure to the
yes,
madness, right? Because just winging it or just doing things when you have the time is not an approach that would probably work for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people
exactly.
make that mistake, right? Where they say, okay, I will
Yeah.
practice yoga when I find the time, or I will do something when I
Hmm.
find the time. But I think it
You
is all
have to
about
make
making
time.
the time, right?
Exactly.
Right. Okay,
Yes.
so I have one final question for you, Praneetha, before I let you go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask
Yeah.
you, what does being creative mean to you? And what is that one thing that you would like to keep working towards, or keep adding value to your life or to someone else's life?
Yeah. So, as I told you, I have a lot of creative ideas running in my head. And in COVID, I even started an Instagram page called Knots and Nails, where I do this string art kind of a thing, where I
Okay.
hammer nails in a design on a wooden board and I string it, in a particular design. I sold a
Right.
few pieces also. Yeah, I try to do something different. I'm not a person where, I have to do, I'm not saying boring, but the same thing over and over again. I need
Right.
to add some spice to it. That's how I look at life. Even when I'm baking is something that I love doing over the weekends. Even that, I go through few videos, but again, in my head, I make a sequence. I'm like, okay, let me do it this way, and I do
Right.
it. So I always want to add something of myself into what I'm making, even if I'm copying it from someone. I need to have
Right.
my touch to it, is what I believe. And yeah, if I see an empty wall in the house, I paint something on it. I do something or the other, I try to add that my touch to it and being creative. And I was like, I can't continue this software job where you can't be creative in, all the time. There are, few
Right.
logics where you can get creative and you can add your own thing, but you have
Right.
to follow a process. So I was wondering, what is this life? There's no purpose to life, something creative. is not happening in my life. And yeah, as I told you, yoga came into my life, and once I've done TTC and I started teaching class, I understood that, I can use my creativity here. So it doesn't have to be the traditional thing that you teach. You can add a few changes in it. And I was like, yeah, so my creativity finally found its place.
If anybody wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that for a yoga class? Could you tell us where they can get in touch with you?
I wanted to take a different number and, publish it over in Instagram and do that, but somehow I was a little hesitant because many people approached me and, everyone has a different need and they're like, can you teach me at this time? Can you teach me at this time? But I'm like, I have these 2 sessions. If you can make time, please join, or else you can, find someone who can teach you at that time. I just make flyers using Canva. Again, all my creativity goes into that. I just post it in WhatsApp and my Instagram private profile. So people whom I know, they approach me, and people whom I know, if they think, their extended friends want to reach me, they check with me. Can I share your number with them? They want your class details. I'm like, yeah, please go ahead and share my number. Of the time I ask, in the flyer, I say, you can ping me in Instagram. So that's how people reach me. Praneetha_Gadiraju is my Insta page.
It is beautiful, Praneetha, the journey that you have been on, and the fact that it is not laden with another thing to do. You don't treat it as just another thing to do, and you are unlocking your creativity in this way, in a channel that you enjoy.
Yes.
I'm sure anybody who is listening in or watching this has found value and inspiration through our conversation.
So.
Thank you so much for your time, Praneetha.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It was lovely talking.
Thank you. And that does it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, hit me up and let me know. And you can connect with me and Praneetha on the handles mentioned below. Till next week, remember, what you want matters, and it's really up to you to make them happen. Take good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.